What's up, guys? We'll be live on Twitch grinding out some Warzone games tonight, but this time with drops enabled, as Call of Duty has just released their newest Season 4 drops, including the Sensory Overload Spray, the Love the Bomb emblem, and the one I'm sure you'll all want, the Bloodstream Growl 556 variant. Exclusive loot that you can only get from watching Twitch streamers, so if you want to grab these, we'll be live on Twitch tonight, and I'd love to chat with y'all, so links in the description below if you're interested, but anyways, let's get back to the regular scheduled content. As of a few days ago, Warzone's turned 4 months old, eclipsing that 4-month mark since the launch of the game on March 10th, and since then, time really seems to have gone fast, at least to me. But while that time has come and gone, we've actually seen a lot done with Warzone in some areas and perhaps in others, not so much. Today, I want to casually discuss with you that 4-month mark of Warzone, where we're at right now in the space of things, my thoughts, feelings on the mode, and where we're at, my hopes for the future. As we go along, feel free to let me know your thoughts down below. Are you enjoying Warzone still? Are you hoping for any changes? Whatever it is, feel free to let me know. And as well, if you are new to the channel, do be sure to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date with all things Modern Warfare and Warzone on a daily basis. But anyways, let's jump into it. Firstly, let's start out with the present, where we are right now. Season 4 is the current realm of which things are operating within Warzone and also in Modern Warfare. As we've seen with a lot with Modern Warfare as of recently, is that we have these seasonal dumps. The main launches have some good content, then we'll have a mid-season content update, but everything in between that is kind of just a little few and far in between, with new content and things to keep players interested and to keep them coming back. So for right now, not only does that one kind of explain some of the lack of uploads here, that we've not been doing daily uploads on the channel, because there's admittedly not a lot of stuff to talk about, but it also may be a reason players like myself, maybe like you, don't really want to log on every single day. Admittedly, Warzone does have me in one of those states of I just really enjoy it overall for the most part, so I do come back and a lot of my friends still play, so I'll be roped into playing with them and things that go along like that, so I'm still on the grind, if you want to call that daily, but I don't really have all that much to work towards. I finished my battle pass, I finished my rank progression for the season, I've done the majority of challenges that are associated with Warzone. There is no independent ranking system or anything like that, so it's kind of like I'm just playing to play, and for me that's all right, but for some there's not a huge incentive. But as for Season 4, it did introduce a few cool things, such things being new LTMs. I honestly think this season has been on fire really with some of the LTMs that we've seen within Warzone. We have Stimulus Trios right now, we had Battle Royale 200, Jug Royale admittedly was a ton of fun once I gave that a chance. Initially I wasn't really interested in it because I didn't really think Juggernauts had a place within Warzone and Battle Royale, but you gave it a try, it was fun, and of course it was also nice because there was no skill-based matchmaking in that mode, but that's a story for later on in the video. There's been nice things introduced for the quality of life, like that Play It Again button that we ended up seeing introduced to the Season 4's mid-season update. The weapon ground spawns have been rotating out since the Season 4 launch, and that's something that's cool, keeps the game fresh. Those early engagements don't really have a specific meta then at that point. It changes it up and forces you to maybe get a little bit more comfortable with things you may not be. There's been new intel introduced with different missions to continue that Easter egg storyline in the background, and all things included. It's cool to see a rotation in the Gulag as well, though admittedly this Season 4 one I'm not entirely a huge fan of. I think when I still look at the progression of the Gulag weaponry, I think the initial pistols only probably is my favorite here at that, but when we take a look at Season 4, there's already been a decent bit of stuff introduced, so I think the future still has some good potential here on it. But since launch, we've seen awesome things like solos, duos, trios, and quads as a stable mode introduced, because if you guys remember back, it was actually only trios available for Battle Royale whenever that launched, and then Plunder of course was there as well, but solos came shortly after, quads came with the next season introduction of Season 3, and then duos came at the end of Season 3 with a ton of anticipation building up to that. But finally, all of those are stable and they're not going anywhere. Sure, one or two of them may have a twist on them at a time, like how we saw BR200 was quads only and there was no standard 150 quads, but for the most part, every single playlist is now available all the time. Now, even though I'm a huge fan of a lot of stuff and I still love playing Warzone on a regular basis, there are definitely still a handful of things that I really think need to be mentioned, because there definitely are some pitfalls here with Warzone overall. Skill-based matchmaking probably atop of that list of things for many players, and I get it. I know I'm going to see the usual suspect of comments of pushing back on that, like, oh, you only want to stop noobs, and wow, sure, that's a cool byproduct of not necessarily having to be matched up with the top tier players every single time, or players of your own skill caliber. To me, it's not even that. It's just the fact of sometimes I just want to chill out. Sometimes I want to play with my friends that may not be as good at the game, but they can't play if they're up at the skill bracket that my normal squad usually plays at. And honestly, that whole counter arguments of only wanting to smash noobs is something that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me to begin with. If somebody's dedicated a ton of their time to something and have gotten good at it, that's awesome for them. And of course, they definitely have the ability to compete at those higher levels. But that's like saying a professional athlete can't just simply play a pickup game with some friends every so often. They only have to play people of that NHL, NFL, MLB caliber. That's like saying somebody who's dedicated their life to become a grandmaster at chess. They can't teach their son or friend how to play the game and become better at it because they're only going to ever be matched up against other grandmasters. And sure, in the grand scheme of things, Call of Duty means nothing in relation to that stuff, but the same logic applies. Some players just want to chill out and have some casual games, even if they have been good at the game for the last decade. And that's something. They've worked a decade to get to that point. 10 years ago, they were the person being stomped on. There was no skill-based matchmaking protecting them then. But anyways, I don't want to get too far down that rabbit hole. That's of course an entirely different thing I could talk about. Cheaters are one that's popping up a lot again. It was actually under control for quite some time. They ended up having an SMS verification system where one account had to be tied to a phone number, which worked out for a little bit, but then I'm sure you've seen it as of recently, more and more of these cheaters popping up, whether they're using aimbot or wall hacks or a combination of both. It's something where it's easy now to spoof those phone numbers and get around that verification system. So it was a nice roadblock for a little bit, but it's now been broken down. It's not something that is really holding back that wave of cheaters. So really, I'm hoping to see some sort of adjustment here and some continuation in an anti-cheat system, because with a lack thereof of one, it's something that pushes away a lot of players. Not just the people that are dedicated to the game and getting tired of getting killed against campers, but those people that make up a large bulk of those 60 to 70 million players that have logged on to the free-to-play Battle Royale. And sure, it might not take away every player, but it will slowly chip away at that player base until the damage has become irreversible. And anti-cheat is something that is necessary and should be atop that priority list. Another thing that I'm kind of surprised that hasn't been tackled just yet is that of footstep audio. It's still something that within Warzone is entirely different compared to MP. Yes, whenever I tweet something like footstep audio needs fixed or something like that, I'll have a bunch of people saying, what do you mean? I hear everything. But I'm talking about Warzone, because sure, there's dead silence, but for about 95% of the cases that I die that I can't hear a player running up right next to me, they don't have dead silence on. I'll watch that kill cam, they won't have it active. And I feel like for a lot of surfaces, the general occlusion and the way that the audio and sound travels, it doesn't match up for how it should be, which is weird because it does, again, sound pretty loud within MP. You'll hear somebody 10 to 15 stories up or below you if you're standing in a stairwell, but you won't hear somebody sprinting right in an open street right next to you. For some reason, it just doesn't work. That's still another huge problem that I think should be taken care of, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. The next stuff may not be so much so global issues as more so personal gripes with it after 4 months, that having had 4 months, I'm kind of surprised we haven't seen anything adjusted here with this. Firstly, Ghost. One big thing that I really cannot stand with Ghost, and I know it's supposed to keep you off the minimap, it's supposed to keep you off the radar, that's the entire point of the perk, but when you have things like an advanced UAV, it keeps players off in that general UAV radius. Even if you have Ghost, it keeps you off the advanced UAV. So that's something that for $12,000 in-game cash, you still really can't even get all the information that you're trying to get, which is kind of wild to me. And it's not even so much that it's just neglecting to end up putting players on the minimap. Like in MP, you end up getting an advanced UAV, you see the directional and real-time display of players that don't have Ghost, but if they do, they still show up as a dot as if they were a regular UAV dot. Except that doesn't happen within Warzone. It's just simply nothing if they're in that general vicinity close enough to you that it would be a regular UAV sweep. That's something that I would love to see fixed. Geo still definitely needs some fixes here. There are still some cliff sides that, though they introduced the goat trails within the last 2 title updates, introducing a few more, there's still some areas that definitely I think could use some work. Some places, like say up by dam, are almost impossible to get up if you're trying to scale different geo and the cliff sides there. And while it may be rare, sometimes this circle literally does not allow you to get up into the areas that are already carved out, meaning that you're automatically just going to end up losing that game. Things like stadiums still, I think, definitely need some way of access, some point of entry outside of just a helo. Same thing goes with a lot of the other buildings and downtown. I know that one of the promotional images that we saw for Season 4 showcased what looked to be like a pulley system that maybe allows you to get up on top of Stadium, but if that's the case, I would love to see that happen, but in a lot of different places. Armor plates after 4 months, I'm still not sure why you can end up getting a partial plate of like 10% instead of just adding 100% and then carrying that 90% depletion on armor over into a new one instead of wasting an entire plate. That's one that's always bugged me personally, and something that I wish 4 months in we could have seen addressed at some point by now, but I don't know if we will. The gas mask animation is still something that even as of recently, it totally screwed me over in a gunfight where I was having a great game. I ended up jumping out, challenging a gunfight against a player that, truth be told, I was going to just absolutely annihilate. And then the zone, not realizing it was right on top of me, completely ruined that gunfight because I'm shooting and it goes then automatically to a hip fire. Naturally, I miss every single shot at that point because I'm still slightly at a distance where I was aiming down sight beforehand. And then I got beamed, ruined the rest of the game for me. I lost all momentum that I had going for me, and that was something that just let me control the animation in some regard. Let me be able to do something with that. And perhaps I think one of the biggest ones here that over 4 months, I'm kind of surprised we haven't seen anything adjusted here for, is that of any real map changes for Warzone overall. Yes, we have the bunkers, we have new areas of access in that regard. We have had some goat trails introduced, but I'm talking the fact that there's no real main point of interest added in. There's nowhere that really changes up the meta of where a ton of players will go. It's, for me, every single time drop in the middle of the map, whether that be hangars or super, whatever it may be, it's the same thing. It's kind of been monotonous, and 4 months in, while I can still bear it, I can still have some fun with it because I'm playing with my friends, I think it's kind of crazy we haven't seen any real new addition to the Warzone world. From the whispers that I had heard, Blackout was pushing developmental limits, and to the point where they literally couldn't add other things in, and they were so close to that limit that sometimes even the glass on buildings pushed them over and would break builds of the game. But even Blackout introduced a few new areas of interest. We had Hijacked, we had Buried, those were introduced, but we haven't had anything in 4 months now within Warzone that's been brand new of any kind. At this point, I'm not really expecting a new point of interest. I'm just kind of expecting a new map at some point whenever 2020 comes out, or at least some secondary map, perhaps like how we saw Alcatraz with Blackout last year. Maybe there is something that is introduced in the Warzone world, but as a different queuable map rather than just for Dansk. Right now, I'm just kind of surprised that after 4 months, we haven't seen anything added to the map. But anyways, overall, yes, I did mention a lot of things that did kind of irritate me here within 4 months of Warzone, but at the same time, like I said, somehow I'm still playing it, somehow I'm still really having a great time with it, despite all those things. Skill-based matchmaking is annoying, absolutely, but at this point, I've kind of put it out of sight, out of mind. I can't do anything about it. Cheaters, it's just bound to happen, which is unfortunate, and I kind of accepted that as well. I really wish that would change, but I'm just kind of head down and going and doing my own thing, and I'm having a good time with it. I've been trying to stream a lot more, talk with you guys, and just casually play the game, and I've been still having a good time playing with my friends, having good laughs anytime we jump on. So overall, seriously, I'm still in love with Warzone. I'm excited to see what happens in the future, but I'm kind of surprised that it's been 4 months already. But anyways, that's where we're at. Just wanted to kind of have a casual discussion here with you guys, round into the next week of content here within Modern Warfare. And if you've made it this far, I do apologize for the lack of uploads. Once again, there really hasn't been anything to talk about within Call of Duty, plus that, and I've been trying to manage closing on a house. So my mind's kind of been all over the place lately. I apologize if the quality of content has gone down a little bit. I'm going to try and get back on the grind here with all of it, but I appreciate all you guys sticking around. But anyways, love to get your thoughts and feedback down there in the comment section down below. What do you guys think of Warzone? Are you liking it through 4 months? Maybe you'd like to see something added, changed, whatever it may be. Feel free to let me know your thoughts. But hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to drop a like down below. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Modern Warfare, updates, news, information, tips, tricks, all that good stuff. We got you covered here on the channel. So if any of that interests you, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing. If you guys also want to follow me over on Twitter and Instagram, those are the best places to get connected outside of YouTube. Probably live on both those. So if you guys want to strike up a conversation, ask me a question, whatever it may be, that link is down there in the description below. But on that another way, thank you guys all so much for watching. Mine has been Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace. We'll be right back.